Good morning, boys and girls. This is a video on how to do the Photoshop 1 assignment. It's a pretty fun little assignment. It'll get us started on all the different things in Photoshop we're going to need to know to be successful later on. So let's jump right into it. The first thing you're going to need is a photograph of yourself. You'll probably want to have somebody take this for you. Doing a selfie for this probably wouldn't work. And you're going to want a lot of empty space around you like I have here. A lot of room to work with here. So make sure you leave plenty of empty space and try to do a nice simple background. You can see I've chosen just a white background. Just a white wall or a brick wall or something with a nice simple background will really make a nice difference on this assignment. So try to choose that if you can. Let's go ahead and open this photo up in Photoshop, and we can do that. The easiest way is if you're in Bridge, which we are, is you just give a double click on the photo and it will open up in Photoshop for you. So there you go. There's mine opened up for me, and we want a new canvas to work in. We're not going to work on this actual photo. We're going to work in a new canvas. So now that I've got this file open, let's go to File, New, and go ahead and put these numbers in here. 10 for the width, 8 for the height, and 72 for the pixels per inch. This is our resolution. If we do a resolution of 72, it's our way of saying that we're not going to print this, that we're just going to play around with it on the screen, that we don't really have intentions of printing it, because if we did, this is not a high enough resolution for printing. So go ahead and press OK. And now you can see I've got two tabs here up at the top. So here's my photo of me. Here's my new canvas. Let's go back to our photo. And we want to crop this, meaning we want to get rid of the stuff we don't need. And we also want to make it so that it will fit in this canvas. Well, if you remember right, this was 10 inches wide by 8 inches tall at 72 pixels per inch. Let's go back to this photo and let's come down and choose the crop tool, which is this one right here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Fifth tool down from the top, and looks like that's a crop tool. Click on that and then come up here at the top of your screen and type in 10 inches right there. You just put in 10. Photoshop will fill in the inches. Put 8 right here and put 72 right here. So 10 for the width, 8 for the height, 72 for the resolution. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come down to our canvas and we're just going to click and drag a box that fills up, that we're going to use to crop out part of the image that we don't want. So once I've made my box, I can click inside of the box and move it around. I can make it smaller by coming to the corners and dragging. And you'll notice Photoshop is locking me to this rectangle shape. I can't change the dimensions. It's forcing me to keep it at this rectangle that's going to give me a ratio of 10 inches wide by 8 inches tall, which is exactly what I want. So I'm going to make it so I get all of the bottom here without going out of the canvas, and then I want enough up top here that I can have plenty of room. Make sure you don't drag your box outside of the canvas like I've done here. If you do that and you press enter, you're going to end up with this white bar along the bottom, and we don't want that at all. So if that happens, just do a little Control-Alt-Z and try again. So I'm going to start right about here because I don't want this weird bar at the top. I'm just going to click and drag, and then I'm going to move it so I'm right in the middle there, and I'm going to go ahead and press enter. And you see how it got smaller. That means we lost a bunch of pixels, but that's okay. That's what we wanted to do. Let's come over now, grab the Move tool, which is this tool right here. Keyboard shortcut of V. If you'd rather just press V on your keyboard, make sure this box right up here is checked that says Auto Select and that this says Layer right here. It'll make life easier later on, so go ahead and do that right now. And what we're going to do is I'm going to click right on my beautiful face here. I'm going to drag it. I'm still holding the mouse button down, so I'm clicking and dragging. I'm going to put the mouse over that tab for a second. I'm going to hold it there until it switches. Then I'm going to drag back in, still holding the mouse button down, and let go. I'm not quite in the middle where I want to be, so I'm going to just move it. Pop! Put it right in the middle there. Beautiful. We can now go ahead and close this image. Switch back to this other tab. We can close this. Photoshop's going to ask, do you want to save it? And I don't, because I cropped it. I threw away a lot of pixels. I'd rather keep the original file. So I'm going to hit no there. And now I've just got this open. Now is a great time to save this. Let's go to File, Save. And we're in our folders here. You should be in O Drive, Photo Shared, or wherever our class folder is. That's where you should be. And let's call this Photoshop 1. And let's leave the format as a Photoshop.psd. So go ahead and just hit Save. And now if something goes wrong, our computer crashes, we've at least got this far saved. Your next step is to go onto the internet and do a Google search for 5 things that you are interested in. So here I am in Google. I really like hunting, so I'm going to start with a picture of a duck. And it brought up the Anaheim ducks. That's not what I want. So I'm going to click here on images. And I really like this one right here. So I'm going to click on this. And you may or may not be using a different browser than I am. So in Chrome, you're going to right click and choose Save Image As. In Firefox or Internet Explorer, it may be something a little bit different, but we're looking for something that says Save Picture or Save Image or something like that. And you're going to go ahead and just click on that. This is going to pop up, and you can see I've actually already saved it. But go ahead and just save it to the same folder where the picture of you in, where the Photoshop file is. We're going to put all of that in the same folder to keep things organized. Go ahead and do that for about 5 more photos, 4 or 5 more photos. You should end up with a total of 5 or 6 of things that you are interested in. Try to do a variety. If you like Xbox, maybe throw an Xbox controller in there. If you like makeup, maybe put a thing of makeup in there. And these don't have to be pictures you've taken. They just have to be pictures of things that you are interested in. Okay, so I've got all of my pictures downloaded that I'm going to use. So let's go ahead and figure out how we're going to put them in here in Photoshop. Let's go ahead and just go to File, Open. And here's all my pictures that I'm going to use. And let's start with this one of the duck because I like it. And what I want is a circle picture of the duck. And right now it's a square. So what I need to do is cut a circle out of it, out of the middle. So I'm going to come over to my elliptical marquee tool, keyboard shortcut M, and I'm going to just start here in the top left-hand corner on the canvas. Don't start out here. You want to start right about here, right on the canvas. I'm just going to click and drag a circle. And I'll stop right about there. And you can always click inside the circle and move it around. If you don't like your circle, if you realize you made it the wrong size, click anywhere outside the circle or press Control D, and that will go away, and you can start again. So let's try that again. I like that circle. I'm going to move it just a little bit. Again, be careful that you don't move it outside of the canvas like that. We want to stay away from that. So we'll go with that one right there. I feel like that's a pretty good circle. Again, I'm going to grab my Move tool. I'm going to come down here, click inside the circle. I'm going to click and drag and carry this up to my other tab where I'm at. Still holding the mouse button down. I'm going to come in. I'm going to let go. That's clearly way too big, so we need to make it smaller. The best way to do that is to press Control T on your keyboard. You don't need to hold it down, just press it. And then hold down Shift and drag from the corners. You will hear me say this roughly 10,000 times. Always hold down Shift and drag from the corners. The reason why is it keeps the photograph in its natural perspective. What happens if you drag from here, the sides, is the photo ends up looking like that. And that is Mr. Johnson's biggest pet peeve, is when people do that. So Control T, hold down Shift, drag from the corners. You'll know if you're holding down Shift because it will lock you into this shape. It won't allow you to do something like this or like this. If you have that Shift button held down, it'll lock it in shape. So I'm going to go ahead and stop right there and press Enter on the keyboard to tell it I'm done. And again, with that Move tool selected, I can move it around, move it wherever I need to go. So I'm going to come back to my picture of my duck and close this. Do I want to save it? No, I don't. Let's go ahead and open up my next picture. Here's an elk. I like elk hunting as well. I'm going to grab my elliptical marquee tool again and draw another circle, making sure I get the most important parts of the photograph. Grab my Move tool, click and drag it over. Hold it there for a second, bring it back, let go. See, it's a little too big again, so Control T, hold down Shift, drag from the corners, press Enter on the keyboard to lock that into place. I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of mine in here and we'll pick up from there. Okay, I'm almost done putting mine in, but I wanted to show you what happened with this photo. It was so big that when I pressed Control T, I couldn't see the corners. So what I need to do in this case, I need to zoom way out, and now I can see all 4 corners. And now I can do my hold down Shift, drag from the corner, make it nice and small, pop it into place. And I'm going to stop right there, actually. I had one more, but I don't really have room for it, so I'm going to stop there. And at this point, if I need to, I'm going to go in and resize some of these, make them different sizes so that it looks just a little bit better. I'll probably make this one a little bit smaller, and this one, maybe make this one a little bit bigger. And that should look about right. So let me get that done, and we'll pick up from. I did want to show you, though, how I reselect these to make them bigger or smaller. Because when we have the move tool, we came up here and checked this box that says auto select layer. Whichever photo I click on, Photoshop will select that for me, which is really convenient sometimes. So if I click on this picture of the duck, I now have that selected in my layers palette, which is over here, layer 2. So if I click on it, now that layer is selected, then I can do Control T, hold down Shift, drag from the corner, press Enter, and better make this one of family a little bit bigger. So I'll click on that, Control T, hold down Shift, drag from the corner to make it bigger this time. This isn't my family, but it's a picture of a family, and family is pretty important to me, so I went ahead and went with that one. So there you go. I've got my 5 pictures spread out around me. This is about right. They're all about more or less the same size, and they are all things that are important to me. So let's talk about how we're going to finish this off. We're going to go through these one layer at a time. So everything from layer 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 is going to get slightly adjusted. So let's start with layer 2, which is my picture of my duck. That's the first one I put in. And again, if I click on it, it will select that layer for me. And what we're going to make is little thought bubbles that are going from my head to the duck, and then making it look like that's what I'm thinking about. So let's come back over, grab my elliptical marquee tool again, and I'm going to draw a little circle right there above my head. And what I need now is another circle, but I need both circles. If I try to draw another circle now, you can see that first one goes away. I can't draw 2 circles at the same time unless I hold down the Shift key. So I'm going to draw my first circle, and then I'm going to hold down Shift, and you can see that little plus sign showed up next to my cursor. That's Photoshop's way of saying that you can add to that selection. So I'm going to draw another slightly bigger circle, and that looks perfect. That's exactly what I want. So I'll go to Edit, Fill, or press Shift F5 on the keyboard, and I'm going to change this right here to use white, and everything else leave the same, and go ahead and press OK. Now I need these little dudes to go away, these little selections that I have around my circles. I'm going to press Control D on my keyboard, and there you go. I'm going to keep doing this to all my layers. Let's go to layer 3 next, which is, I believe it's the elk. Yep. So I'm going to do the same thing now. I'll grab my elliptical marquee tool, and maybe this time I'll do 3 circles since it's a little bit farther away. Each one getting a little bit bigger. Just like that, holding down Shift, go to Edit, Fill, press OK, and then press Control D. Next layer up is the deer over here. Elliptical marquee tool, circle, Shift circle, Shift circle, Edit, Fill, press OK, Control D. Let me finish this up real quick. Right now would probably be a good time to save our work again, just in case. So let's go and go to File, Save, and Photoshop will just automatically save it again for us, which is exactly what we want. So I've got all my thought bubbles here, and I just want to make sure that I got them all on the right layer. So I'm going to go through my layers palette and turn each layer off one at a time. You can see as I do that by clicking on the little eyeball right here that the layer disappears, then reappears. And as long as the dots disappear with the layer, that I know I'm good. So it looks like I've done a pretty good job here. Good, all my dots are on the right layer. Now what we want to do is just add a little bit of a black border to the edge of all of these, and that's called a stroke, S-T-R-O-K-E. And so let's go in, start with layer 2, and let's add a stroke to that. And what we want to do is we want to hold down Control on our keyboard and click on this part of the layers palette, this little layer thumbnail right here. Don't click out here, don't click on the name, click right on this little preview box of the layers palette. So I'm going to hold out Control and click on that, and you can see what that did is it put a selection around everything that's on my layer, which is exactly what I want. Then we will come up to the top of our screen and go to Edit, and we're going to choose Stroke. We'll set a width of 5 pixels. We'll set our color to black, which it already was, and then we'll go ahead and leave this on center. Everything else should be okay, and go ahead and press OK. You can see that puts a nice little black border around everything. So press Control D to make that selection go away. Let's go to the next layer, layer 3. I'm going to hold down Control and click on the layer thumbnail there. Edit, Stroke, OK, Control D. You'll notice when I go to layer 4, I click on the layer first, and then I Control click on the preview. you want to make sure not only that you control click, but that you've also selected the layer. Otherwise, your stroke will end up on a different layer. Edit, stroke. Okay. Control D, control click on that. Edit, stroke. Okay. Control D, click on layer 6. Control click on the layer thumbnail. Edit, stroke. Okay. Control D. Okay, we have done everything we need to do. Let's go ahead and go to File, Save again. And again, we saved this as a PSD, which is great because a PSD saves all of our layers. If we want to come back later, maybe me and my wife get divorced next week, and I decide, you know what, I don't want a picture with her in it, so I want to replace it. Well, I can do that as long as I keep it on its own layer. But we can't turn in PSDs because they're huge files, and you can't upload them to Flickr. So what we need to do now is go to File, Save As, and this time we're going to change it from the format from a Photoshop to a JPEG. And it's not a bad idea, as long as we're here, to rename it to last name, comma, first name. And then go ahead and just press Save. This box will pop up. I like to put the number 10 in here. This is just how high quality of a JPEG you want. 10's not too high, but high enough that it's good. And then go ahead and press OK. And now you're set. You can turn that in on Flickr, and we're good to go.